My mind map is titled Literacy Across the Years. Now I have started with, in the middle, a picture of a school from the 1900s to a picture of a classroom from today. I broke my mind map into the 20th century and the 21st century. So moving and beginning in the 20th century, in 1908, reading instruction was an appreciation for literature. Moving to the 1914 to 1919 began the silent reading versus oral reading, and at that point it was just recognizing the importance of both. Moving into 1917 was Edward Thorndike, and he came up with the idea to use different strategies and put them together to understand a paragraph. Moving into the 1930s was the high use of Basils in the classroom, and we also have Louise Rosenblatt, who came up with the early reader's response theory. Moving into the 1940s, we have the Dick and Jane readers, and that was a text that had controlled vocabulary, and round robin was used. Also in the 1940s, we have the handwriting is equal to writing. Moving into the 1950s, reading and writing was taught at the same time, and that was by drill. Drill of your ABCs. Once you established those, then you moved on to sounds, and finally letter combinations. Moving back over to the 1960s was the significant instructional strategies. And those you had survey, question, read, recite, and review. Also in the 1960s we had Jean Shaw, and hers was about to end the debate about the best reading approach. She also was the one who developed the reading principles, based on phonics instruction, repeat words in early texts, readiness programs, and the use of small group instruction. Also in the 1960s, we had Kenneth Goodman, and his work led to the understanding of miscues and the cueing system. In the 1970s, and then it also continued into the 1980s, was the whole language approach. And the whole language approach was student-centered instruction. With using high-quality literature, they had thematic instruction and reaching upon teachable moments. Moving in the 1990s was when we really saw research supporting whole language. Continuing in the 1990s was the Reading Excellence Program, and that was just all about giving more reading instruction support to the children in need of it. Also in the 1990s, we had the National Reading Panel, and their idea was the importance placed on fluency, vocabulary, phonemic awareness, and phonics, also with comprehension. So, moving into the 21st century, we have beginning in 2000 was the International Reading Association, and that was really basing their importance on early reading instruction. Moving into 2002, we had George Bush with the No Child Left Behind Act, and that was an act to close the achievement gap with accountability, flexibility, and choice, so that in the end, no child was left behind. Moving into 2011 was the important Common Core state standards, and I'm sure we all know those very well. And that was just to set higher grade level expectation. They used precise language, and it was so that standards were used all across the nation. So I also wanted to continue. My choice was the Association of Literacy Educators and Researchers, and this association was in the 20th century and the 21st century, so I really felt it broke across my whole mind map. And with this association, they were a resource of information. They held annual conferences, which actually in 2015 conference, theirs was about making a difference in our diverse communities. The association also has different divisions. We have adult learning, clinical research and practice, college literacy, and teacher education. One other point I wanted to make about this association is their professional publications. They published white papers that were a review of the Common Core state standards, which was really a high point on noticing how important those standards are to us today. Thank you very much.